Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Sophie. For today's video, I'm going to be doing my September reading wrap up. Now, September was good to me. Let me tell you that first. I read, I think 9 books, or I read 8 in DNF 1, which is so good for me, personally. I know there's people out there that read like 20 books a month. I'm never going to be that girly. I have a full-time job. I try and fit so much into my very busy schedule, and yeah, but no. September was a very fun-filled month for me when it comes to reading, and I honestly think part of it is to do with me doing Tori's Roll for Reads TBR game, because I didn't want to take a disadvantage. So I was like, I need to get these books done, and I only missed 1 book out of my 6 books for September, and I read an extra 3 on top of that. So let's just get into it in no particular order. So the first book I officially read in September was The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber, which is book 2 in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I really liked this book. I gave it a 4-star, and I'm honestly glad that I decided to continue on with the series. If you have been here a couple months, I actually read Once Upon a Broken Heart when it first came out. I had the Fairy Loot edition, and I did like it, but I wasn't like head over heels in love with it. And then I saw a lot of talk about the next 2 books and a lot of quotes and things that happen, and so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna reread the first one and then carry on with the series and see if I also love it. And it turns out I do. And this one, honestly, so many things happen that I did not even expect to come from this series, and our kind of slow burn romance carries on, and I just really love Stephanie Garber's writing. It's so whimsical. I think it's the only like whimsical fantasy that I like, because I really struggle to get into those vibes. I just prefer like flat out fantasy, dark fantasy, whatever you want to do. But whimsical, I really thought would be my vibe, but I'm finding it's not. I love Jax and Evangeline. They're like the best characters. I think I know where we're going with the series, and I'm kind of excited to get there. There's not too much I can say because it is the second book in the series and I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I liked this one much more than the first one, and normally it's the other way around for me. And I've also just reminded myself of the ending of Ballad of Never After, and oh my god, I am excited for the 3rd book. Then I read Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, which honestly, that might have been the book that had me pressing forward throughout the rest of the month, because I was obsessed with this book. I gave it a 4.5. If you have read this book, then you know that Bartholomew is the most precious gargoyle in all of the lands, and he's protected at all costs, and I love him so much. Night and the Moth follows a girl who is a diviner. So this world is kind of ruled by omens. Everyone believes in the omens and what they do and what they warn against and things like that, and the diviners are girls who can see the omens and see which way they tip for each person that comes to a divination. And our main character basically gets her world upended. Everything she believes in is questioned. She goes on this quest to really like find herself and make choices for herself, and it's just such a gothic, beautiful story, and I cannot wait for book 2 because I loved it so much. I really love Rachel Gillig's writing anyway. One Dark Window was such a gothic masterpiece. Loved it, and this one is just as good. But yeah, if you've read it, Bartholomew. And also the romance is just amazing. It's not even that crazy, but I just loved it because I genuinely loved the characters in this book. So atmospheric, everything. 5 stars for characters, 5 stars for the plot, 5 stars for the writing. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars altogether is because I just didn't get that 5-star feeling that I often talk about. But very close. Very close. I then decided to DNF The Secret Romantics Book of Magic because I had read like 6 or 7 of the short stories and there's only 12. So I read about half of them, and I just wasn't vibing with any of them, which is so disappointing because I genuinely, when I saw this was a book of short romantic stories, I was like so excited. I couldn't even believe that somebody would write this book for me, you know? Like, it genuinely felt like it was made for me. Short stories, romantic, quick, fast romantic stories. But I just didn't vibe with them. They weren't, I don't think they were what I was expecting. I think I was expecting maybe lots of fae, maybe lots of, not just fae, because like fantasy is obviously a broad spectrum, but I was expecting more fantasy vibes than I got out of the stories that I read. And I think I was just expecting more in-depth love stories. Obviously you can't do like a slow burn in a short story, I get that, but I just thought it would be a bit more than what we got. So unfortunately I am DNFing it after reading about 50% of it. So as sad as I am, I needed to do it because like I put it down and I just didn't pick it up. I could not see myself reaching for it. However, I still would recommend that people give it a go because it might be to your taste. The next book is The Tenant by Frida McFadden. This was my friendship book club pick. I absolutely love Frida. I think she's amazing at writing. She's amazing at writing her thrillers and mysteries. She's amazing at plot twists and writing red herrings. You really do think you know what's going on and then all of a sudden you don't. This one I did give 3 stars. It definitely wasn't my favourite. We follow a couple, we follow the perspective of the man in the relationship, and he loses his job for reasons he cannot even fathom. And he's kind of stuck in a rut and trying to find a new job, but to make ends meet, because he's just bought a house in New York, I believe, which is obviously a really pricey place because at the time he had a very well paid job. To make ends meet, they are looking for a tenant to rent out the like spare bedroom in the top of that house, and they interview all these people, and then this girl ends up being the one that they go with, and then things just start happening and his world and his life is kind of just goes up in flames at a very fast pace, and he blames it all on this new tenant. But in true Frida style, the story is not that simple and a whole plan unravels. So I did really enjoy it. It just wasn't my fave. I felt like it was very close to the plot of The Boyfriend, I think is the one I'm thinking of. I just remember reading this one and thinking this is following a very similar pattern to The Boyfriend, and because of that I could guess some of the twists and turns, which obviously you don't really want to do that to read a good thriller or mystery or whatever. You want to be able to be shocked. That's the whole appeal to me anyway. So yeah, I think that's why I kind of marked it down a little bit. But then, because I was really feeling the Frida McFadden vibes, I did pick up Death Row, which is a short story by her and part of the Alibis collection. I think it's a bunch of thriller mystery writers that have done it. And Death Row follows, from what I can remember, because it was literally only like 100 pages long, it follows a lady who is on death row for the death of her husband, but she's claiming she doesn't do it, and you're in her mind and she's kind of going over the events leading up to it, but also what's going on in her prison life as well, and it kind of flips between, and then it twists just like that. And I actually really enjoyed it. I did give it 3 stars because if it had been like a full novel, I think it would have been a very good story. A very, very good story. I actually really vibed with this one, but I only gave it 3 stars because there just wasn't enough for me. Like, I needed more. Then I read Lady of Shadows by Melissa Rorich. I never know how to say her last name, I do apologise, which is book 2 in the Lady of Darkness series, and I gave it 4 stars. Absolutely loved it. I think, again, I like this one more than the first one. Lady of Darkness, the first book, follows our main character Scarlet, who was raised in the Assassin's Guild, and she gets offered this job that will give her a reward that she's wanted all of her life, which is the man that killed her mum way back when. And while she's on this kind of mission, she starts learning stuff about herself, about the world, and there's like things going on in the background, like children go missing from her village, and everything kind of ties into one in the end, and the romance is so good. Again, I believe it's quite slow burn, or it's slow burn to me anyway. Basically, after the events of the first book, there's a lot of trust issues among the people in the second book, and it's a very slow going romance still, and not just the romance but the friendships, the relationships with everyone kind of in the world. She's still dealing with the trauma from her life before the first book, her life during the first book, and yeah, I just really like the development of Scarlett's character and the way she is written, because I think it really shows that, you know, when something happens to someone, they don't just switch back to being their happy, joyful self. There are repercussions, there are issues, there is trauma, and it's represented really well in this, but also so is the found family and like finding yourself as well, like learning stuff about yourself and working out who you want to be. So 4 stars for my queen. I then read The Traitor Queen, which is book 2 in the Bridge Kingdom series. I gave this one 4 stars as well. My girly in this book tried everything she possibly could. I don't know what to say because it's a book 2. I've read a lot of sequels this month, and it's really hard to explain without giving away the details of the first book. But in the first book, The Bridge Kingdom, Lara is trained to be a spy, an assassin, and her job is to be married to the king of the Bridge Kingdom and learn from the inside out how to bring them down and how to get her father to take over the Bridge Kingdom. Basically, that's the plot of the first one. She obviously goes believing that this kingdom she's becoming the queen of is bad, is the reason for her people's starvation, is the cause for basically everything going wrong in her kingdom, in her father's kingdom, because that's all she's known, that's all she's been like trained to believe, that's all that's been drilled into her and her sisters. She obviously finds out that things aren't as they seem necessarily, and she kind of switches sides, but things aren't always as simple as that. So I'm gonna leave that there because I don't want to ruin the whole story of the book. But number 2 is the repercussions and the after events of what happened in book 1, and it is a very long road for our 2 main characters' relationship, let's put it that way. But I really loved the ending and just loved the journey throughout. I was very invested in their story. There are other books in this series, but they follow other people. Their story is like kind of over. I think they do make appearances in the other book, but they're not the main focus. So I think I am going to leave it there because I'm not that invested in the other people that the books follow. 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's not even that long of a book either, and it's not often that I like a fantasy that doesn't involve magic or fantastical elements like that. It is just simply a fantasy world, but with very like mortal attributes. And then the last one I read was A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout. If you've been here a while, you know that I absolutely love From Blood and Ash, the first trilogy, but I was stuck because I really didn't want to start Shadow in the Ember because it's had so many mixed reviews. I just didn't want to do it because I was worried it was going to ruin the whole thing for me. I actually low-key enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, but I think I gave it 3.5 on Fable. You can't do half marks, annoyingly, on Goodreads. I actually quite enjoyed it. I wouldn't say that I'm excited to carry on with the prequel as a series, but that book I did quite enjoy. I could definitely tell the difference between our main characters in this book and our main characters in From Blood and Ash, which people said they were like one and the same. I definitely don't think that at all. The only thing that I didn't enjoy is that it kind of confused the series as a whole for me. Like, it made it more confusing for me. That might just be me, but it obviously, we were told that we needed to read A Shadow in the Ember before we went on to War of Two Queens, which is From Blood and Ash 4, and I understand why we had to do that, but now everything that I thought I knew, I did not. And I'm just more confused than ever about the series as a whole. So obviously I will have to see how I feel when I read War of Two Queens, but I don't know. But I did enjoy it as a book itself. I might continue on, I'm not really sure. There's like 2 or 3 more in the prequel series. I think I'm falling behind on how many I actually own. But anyway, so I read Shadow in the Ember and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good book. I don't really know why people hate on it so much. I love it. I love Poppy and Castile, which is the series that I want to get to. The From Blood and Ash series. I'm only reading Shadow in the Ember because I have to. It was low-key good, guys. I would recommend reading it. If it were me, I would say read it, but it's up to you. And then last but not least, there was a book that I kind of read a little bit in August and a little bit in September, so I'm gonna include it in here, and that is Empire of Flame and Thorns by Marion Blackwood, which is a Kindle Unlimited book. It was a really short book, 366 Kindle pages, and it's about our girly Selena who enters the Atonement Trials, which is basically the dragon shifters are the ones that are in charge. The rest are just like normal fae in the Seelie court. They're trapped in this court by a forest of thorns, and you can enter the Atonement Trials, and if you win, you get to leave. And our main character decides, you know what, I'm gonna enter. The idea is that they are atoning for their ancestors' like rebellion against the dragon shifters, which is all kinds of wrong anyway, because obviously these people have like nothing to do with what happened back then, but that's the way this world rules. During the Atonement Trials, she is sabotaged multiple times by a specific dragon shifter, and it turns out things aren't as they seem. If you like trials, romantasy, fae, dragon shifters, you will probably like this book. It's a super easy read. I gave it a 3 stars. I'm gonna continue the series, but I'm not at like a rush to do so, if that makes sense. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting, and the fae not being at the top of the food chain was definitely an interesting take, because I feel like every book that I read that involves fae, they always are. I actually really enjoyed it for the short book that it was, and I'm intrigued as to how our romantasy part, the like romance part, is gonna play out in the next book or so. But those are the books that I read this month. I am so happy with myself for reading so many. Oh no, actually, I also read Zodiac Academy 1 again, which was a reread for me. I listened to the graphic audio version, and oh my god, I mean, I love graphic audio books. They are incredible. They quite literally are a movie in your mind, just like they say. I absolutely loved it, and now this month I will be rereading book 2, ready to go on to book 3, which I have not read yet. It follows some twins that find out they're actually royal fae from another world, and they have to find their place in this realm of so many magical creatures. It's unbelievable. I highly recommend. The writing isn't perfect. I don't think it's been picked up traditionally yet, but I definitely think they're worth the read if you enjoy all those like fantastical magical elements. But yeah, I had a really good reading month, and I'm hoping the vibes get moved onto this month as well, and I hope that you all have been having really good reading months as well. I think winter is such a good time, or autumn winter is such a good time to get into big reading moods and get out of slumps, because you're at home, it's cold outside, you're wrapped up cozy on the sofa or in your reading nook or however you read, and it's just like the perfect setting for reading in my opinion. So let's all lock in and get our reading goals done for the end of the year. Let me know what you read last month and what you loved or hated. I want to know all the gossip. Let me know what your reading plans are for this month in October. Are you going with a spooky theme? Are you doing a TBR game? Are you joining any readathons? Because I know there is a couple on. Let me know. I want to know it all. And yeah, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. It really helps. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you leave so you don't miss the next one. Bye guys.